Hey folks, John Peterson here, and today it's finally here. Actually, it came out a little bit earlier. It came out in beta, and then it just got released a couple of days ago. And what I'm talking about is a really exciting new update to Adobe Lightroom that allows you to make really quick masks of various parts of the landscape. This is a really cool feature, and it could be a game changer. It could be a time saver for you. And it's just a fantastic up. So this update is available in Lightroom Classic, which is what I'm using today, the regular Lightroom, as well as Camera Raw. And in Lightroom Classic, this is version 14.3, and ACR at 17.3, and regular Lightroom, I don't remember the exact update, but go ahead and check your Creative Cloud app. Update your Adobe applications, and hopefully this will pull down for you. And let's jump in and take a look at it. So here we are in Adobe Lightroom Classic, and again this is version 14.3. And to take advantage of this new feature, hopefully you all have been using masks in Lightroom. It's a really powerful tool. It's a great way to make selective edits to your photograph. But now if you come up to the masking tool and select this, notice that there is a new option. It's called landscape. This works for landscape. This works for many other types or genres of photography. But for today, let's just call it landscape. And the function of this new feature is to identify and select different areas of the photograph to auto-generate masks. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. When I click on landscape, the system analyzes the photograph and then decides how many different masks it can make. And you can see here, I think there's 7 total different masks. But in this photograph, I only have 4 selected. We have the sky, so it found the sky and selected it. It found mountains, it found water, and then there's something called natural ground. And notice that sometimes this does not select everything perfectly. And I'll deal with that in a few other examples. But in this case, I want to go ahead and create all of these different masks. So I select all of these, and you can see it says it's going to create 4 separate masks. So let's go ahead and create the masks. And in my mask panel, you can see all the different masks that were created. So if I want to go up and adjust the sky, I can do that, add a little blue to that, and then I want to come down and adjust the mountains. Let's say I want to bring up the shadows a little bit, maybe warm the temp just a smidge. Now the water, did a great job of selecting the water. Let me just bring up the exposure just a little bit in the water. I might want to reduce the clarity some to smooth it out a little bit. Maybe add a little bit of blue to match the sky. And now natural ground, well, this isn't great. So what I would do in this case is I will subtract a brush, and I'll go up and I'll remove the pieces that I don't want to have masked. So I will remove the mountains. I really just want the boulders selected. So if I subtract that brush, now I can adjust the boulders as I see fit. Okay, makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Let's go ahead and take a look at another example. Here we are at the Oregon coast, really simple beach scene. Go ahead and select landscape. And it will detect the sky, the water, the natural ground. So sky, that's pretty easy. The water, selected the ocean and the stream leading out to the water, which is great. Natural ground, it's the beach and the rocks. And here again, it's sort of misidentified just a little bit with what I would call mountains, but let's just think of them as the rocks. So let's go ahead and generate all of these masks again. And just like creating masks by hand in Lightroom, you might need to fine-tune a few things. So let's say I just want to have the beach selected, not the rock. So natural ground is selected, and I want to subtract, let's just do objects. I want to do that, I want to do that, subtract objects. We'll go ahead and select this rock. And I got those rocks fairly minimized, and I just want to deal with the beach a little bit. We'll bring up the shadows, bring up the warmth a little bit. If I jump up to the sky, I might want to increase contrast, a little bit of saturation up there. The rocks that I know are almost pure black, so there's not a lot I can do with those. If I crank the shadows, you can see it starts to look really unnatural, but let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, it's not bad. But notice that there's a small halo around this, and that was because in the mountains and the natural ground, you can see the mask wasn't perfect, and I did not do a great job of getting rid of this line around the rock. Again, masking takes some time. Even with this beautiful automated feature that we have in Lightroom, it does take some time. Let's jump over to the Grand Tetons real quick. This is during my winter workshop. Beautiful sunrise, pre-sunrise blue hour. I've got the mountains in the background. I've got the molten barn. Let's go see what the AI masking tool will do for us. Got sky, mountains, that makes sense. I've got a new one here called architecture, and it identified and worked to select the buildings in the scene. I've got some vegetation, which notice that the mountains also got selected because there's vegetation in the mountains, quite honestly. This is a case where the mask didn't do a great job for what I want to do in the photograph. And the funny one in this is, notice I've got water. It saw some of the fog off in the distance and thought that it was water. So what I might want to do is just select the sky and the mountains, maybe the architecture. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's just go create those three masks, and we'll just do the sky a little bit, increase saturation. Go to the mountains. I want to do a little bit of contrast. Bring up the shadows just a little bit. Now let's look at architecture. I want to bring more light onto the barn. So if I increase my exposure just a smidge, a little bit of shadows up, great. Now I'm still left with this foreground that I did not make a mask for. So I can still come up and do probably a linear gradient is what I would want to do on the foreground. So I can just isolate this foreground element, bring up the shadows just a little bit, maybe decrease the blacks just a smidge, just get a little bit of visual interest in the foreground. So you can see real quickly, I went from that to that. Much nicer photograph. So the system, the AI in this does a fantastic job. So let's jump over to a slightly different type of photograph. And I just got back from the desert Southwest down in Monument Valley, and we were coming down from Hunts Mesa, and we saw these wild horses out grazing in the scrub. And so we stopped to take photographs of that. So let's see what this new feature does in a somewhat portrait type of photograph. So we'll go ahead and select landscape, and what it found was sky, which is great. It found the mountains, which good enough. The vegetation in the foreground and the midground, and then it found natural ground, which is all the rock. And for this photograph, I don't want the background rocks and the foreground rocks selected. So I'm not going to create this mask of natural ground. But let's go ahead and do sky, mountains, and vegetation. will create the mask. So if we go up to sky, let's say I want to darken that a little bit and add some blue to it, so that looks good. Back in the mountains, maybe add a little bit of contrast to darken those up, get some blacks going, which is wonderful. Then the vegetation, I want to brighten a little bit, so we'll bring up some of the shadows and maybe add some saturation, see if I get a little color pop happening. Notice through all of this, it did not select the horse. It selected all the elements except for the main subject. The application or this feature will scan for people, but when it comes to animals, sometimes it doesn't recognize them as the main subject. So if I go up to create new mask and say select subject, this is a slightly easier selection for the system to recognize. So we'll go up and select our horse and increase the exposure, increase the shadows a little bit, and boom, there we go. Okay, real easy. So you can use this landscape feature to auto-generate all these different masks and then continue to still make manual masks. All right, one last example. We'll do an easy one for you. This is up in the Palouse. I'm heading back there in June, as I always do, for the beautiful green wheat fields. If I select landscape, got sky and what they call mountains. Real simple, right? I got two different things. Now you can do the same thing manually if you want to. You can go up and select sky, which is great. And then I would go up to mask, duplicate, and invert, and I get the bottom. So the same type of thing. I can do it either through AI with the new landscape feature, or I can do it manually. It doesn't matter. All right, I hope that gives you a great quick overview of this exciting new feature in Adobe Lightroom. Now, I invite you to go out and play with this tool, experiment it, find ways that it's going to work for you. As you saw, it's not 100% perfect, but I know Adobe is going to be continuing to refine the AI models for how it selects different parts of the landscape. So it's a cool new feature, could be a time saver. If you're really advanced with masking already in Lightroom, you might find it easier just to do the masks yourself. But sometimes it's really helpful to have the system just select the different areas and you can focus on the creative edits you want to make. All right, folks, thanks for watching. And once again, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, tickle the bell, get notified when I release new videos. Thanks for watching. Happy shooting. Have a great day.